some cried for 6 weeks, and some drank for 6 weeks. Some we didn't want to keep for 6 weeks, and but more or less they would congregate around the pool.
Most of the ranches had things going on. They would have trail rides. They would have camping trips, and it wasn't unusual for some of the dudes to go out and go on a cattle drive 2 or 3 or 4 days at a time. It was a totally new experience for them, and cowboys were glad to have the help, and they enjoyed it.
As soon as they'd come out, they wanted to head down to Parker's and get themselves all outfitted, and particularly if it was during the, the rodeo time. And we had one man that, he was so ridiculous. He bought a 10-gallon hat, and he had a Hawaiian shirt on. I'll never forget it. He's going out the driveway on this horse, and the saddle hadn't been cinched tight enough, and as he made the turn, everything started going this way, and the hat went this way, and he was also in Bermuda shorts and cowboy boots. I mean, it was a picture that, would be hard to even draw, I think, today.
But they did. They had an entirely different impression of what, or some of them did anyway, of what to expect. And
one of the guests had a bet with her sister that she'd be met at the airport in a buckboard. I don't think I knew what a buckboard was.
But the Old West wasn't all Hollywood fiction. Guests of ranches like Emmy Wood's Flying M.E. witness a bit of the true West, Nevada style.
Then maybe once, sometimes twice a week, where she'd take the crowd and go to Virginia City. Of course, they thought they'd never seen anything like that. And Virginia City was not anything at all like it is today. There was places up there that stayed open all night, and you could actually eat in town all night. She had a few house rules. One of them was she told the girls on their when they initially came there, that when she said, if I take 6 girls to town, I expect to bring 6 girls home. She said, you can talk to people. It's not that you're in prison or anything, but she said, I don't want them running all over. She said, I have enough trouble with the local people anyway. She said, they're not sure about what kind of a place we're running out here.
There just were a number of women who would be at a point where they were thinking of leaving that whole eastern scene, and you get some of this in the women, the Claire Booth Luce play about the women. They have a kind of love-hate relationship with their old life, and the hate part moves them into giving a kind of all-out devotion to the Western simple life, and that seems to be embodied in a Wrangler.
They come out here from New York, Chicago, St. Louis, and they find him a cowboy. Cowboys are supposed to be dumb, So they tell him everything, and they do everything. Everything they couldn't do back home.
Now, Buck Winston is nice. He's so young and strong. Have you noticed the play of his muscles? Oh, musical. Musical.
Great Scott, you don't mean to say his joints squeak.
Lucy.
And the women that came out naturally were lonesome. Some came out with their children. And the cowboys naturally flocked to the ones they liked. And some of them even got married to some of the divorcees eventually.
Well, the courthouse was called the Women's Exchange. And for the simple reason, quite a few of them brought their boyfriends out with them, wanted to keep them interested, and to marry them immediately after the divorce. They got a divorce, and they got married by the same judge who had granted the divorce a few minutes earlier. And then they would come out, and she would kiss the pillar. Those big pillars at the courthouse had red lipstick marks on them. And there was an old adage that some of them would go down and throw their rings into the Truckee River. Well, there were a few rings tossed in.
I can remember a number of occasions when my own clients, when I would get a divorce for a client at 9:45 in the morning, and at 10:30 the same morning, she would be married. Divorce granted, the judge would say, and half an hour later he'd say to the same lady, do you swear to love, honor, and obey?
What's the matter, dearie? Cat got your tongue?
No. To Reno.
What a claim to fame, the divorce capital of the world, only in Reno. And we're proud to have that in.
Become a new member by mail. Send a check with the membership level of your choice and mail to KNPB Channel 5, 1670 North Virginia Street, Reno, Nevada 89503. Please indicate your name and address, and if you would like to receive a thank you gift. It's hard to imagine today, but there was a time not too long ago when most of downtown Reno was 3 or 4 stories tall. Small card rooms and bingo halls lined the streets. No one had even imagined the high-rise hotel casinos of today. But World War II had ended, and it was time for a change. As the Mapes family saw things, it was time to bring the world to Reno and give them a nice place to stay once they came.
The Mapes Hotel was the first high-rise building in Reno. It was much bigger than the Riverside. And Charles, he built that in 1947.
Mapes was very good in the sense that he was innovative. You have to realize he was in his mid-20s when he built that building, which was a hell of an undertaking in a town that nobody knew what the result might be.
The start of the hotel was my parents' thought. Reno had been very good to them, and they figured that what Reno needed was a hotel. Reno was a very sleepy little town in those days, and there wasn't much attraction. In fact, they were famous as being the Great Divide for divorcees, and the divorcees didn't think much of downtown Reno and stayed out in the ranches. So we had an idea that our family would build a hotel. Unfortunately, my father died when he'd bought the property where the hotel now exists. And that put us in an estate. And then World War II came along. And it was my mother's wish that we carry on what my dad wanted to do. And being the only male in the family, the job befell to me. I was only 24 when it all happened. There's been some misconception about the design that we bought the architectural drawings from some other hotel. I don't know how it started, but it's absolutely false. One unique thing about our plans is that we built them on property lines. It's a terrible thing to say with a hotel that had 2 casinos, but there's nothing square in the Mapes.
You see, the beauty of the Mapes was there were no 2 rooms that were the same. They were all, every room in the hotel was different.
All antique.
Furnished differently.
Beautiful, original antique furniture throughout the hotel, and it was beautifully done.
Just beautifully. I've never seen another hotel like it, ever. It just hasn't been one.
There's so many firsts in the Mapes Hotel that it's probably the most historical building in the entire state of Nevada. It's not only the tallest, it was the largest hotel, the largest apartment house, the only building that had 4 elevators in it, the only building with a male chute by the elevators, the first air-conditioned building in the state.
He had the first showroom above the ground floor in the state of Nevada. He had the first casino lounge with live entertainment in the state of Nevada. He had the first truly gourmet restaurant in a hotel.
It has copper tubing, which was unheard of then, for both hot and cold water. And through my inexperience, wherever it came to be 5-sack concrete, I said, make it 6. And it's built like the proverbial you know what. I think that building will stand longer than any other building in downtown.
So we used to go over on Virginia Street and watch the building of the Mapes Hotel because it was the big event for Reno. I mean, it was a happening. And we'd stand there against the railing and just watch what was going on. Well, Mother Mapes never left the front of that building because the cement trucks would come in and all the cement was pouring out for the foundation. And a lot of it was going right down the Truckee River, right past what's now the Holiday Hotel. And I mean, you could just see the dollar signs in her little eyes watching all that cement go down the river. And I guess there's a lot of it still there. I don't know.
Suddenly, Reno had a grand hotel and a skyline. Well, actually, the hotel was the skyline. But before it could open, it needed a name.
No, I didn't ask to be called my name. I was so busy building it, I forgot I should get a name. And when I got around to it, everybody says, well, it's the Mapes. You can call it whatever you want, but we're going to call it the Mapes. I thought, well, it's only 5 letters, let's go. The hotel opened December 17th, 1947. We wanted to open before Christmas. And when I opened it, all I wanted to do was shut it down. Everything was going wrong. I had more action out the back door than I had the front door. I thought, my God, what have I done? Why can't I stop it and stop all these leaks? But we had so much business, we overcame it. And finally, good people came along, and it got to be somewhat fun.
Mapes basically built a very sophisticated Eastern-style hotel because he graduated from Harvard, and he appreciated the finer things in life, and that's what he was bringing to the community, a really first-rate hotel.
Reno always had a downtown, but with the birth of the Mapes, it now had a heart.
In those days, the Mapes was the absolute center of the Truckee Meadows. You can see where it was located. There were a total of about 50,000 people in the entire area, and it's about 200 to 250,000 today. It was dead center in town. Post office was across the river. City Hall was next door. The bank, FIB, was right here. All of the attorneys and doctors had offices downtown. If you went shopping, you came down to Sears and Montgomery Ward's, Home Furniture. I would say in a 3-block area, the Mapes were...